apologize to because
Ladies and gentlemen, can we listen to Paul?
I want to apologize to you because of the seriousness of what I'm going to present to you. There's no time to do this any justice. So I'm going to give you one of these. And I'm going to tell you what the game plan is. How would you like to win something for once? How would you like to create and make a revolution occur?
Yeah.
If you are any way aware of what's happening to your atmosphere, today was a perfect example because by the time it is 2 o'clock in the afternoon, you see no bright blue sky anymore.
Nope.
You just see that white haze, which is nothing more than weaponized things that you are breathing. Nanoparticles of aluminum, which show up in your brain, which initiate things like Alzheimer's disease, autism. There are 3 lectures on this. If you think it's worthwhile knowing about it, just put $1 there to cover it. Otherwise, I'll give it to you for free, because you have a right to know, and the 4th Amendment says you have a right to know that you have a right not to have your person violated. That part of the 4th Amendment that says you have a right to privacy in your person means you have a right not to be inoculated. You have a right not to have fluoride in your water and be part of a mass medication program. If you don't like fluoride, you could go buy water. But you gotta breathe, and you can't buy any more non-weaponized air. So whether you know it or not, every breath you're taking in right now is putting strontium in your bones, putting barium in your lungs, and putting aluminum in your brain. The 3rd lecture here is by a man named Dr. Russell Blaylock, who wrote a book called Excitotoxins, which initiated the whole revolution to make people start to be aware of what these additives to our food are doing. It is nothing compared to what you're breathing in today. We can win because there's a whole movement in Florida and the nation against the company called Monsanto. Monsanto bought the company that produces this material 6 years ago. How many of you know that? 1 person, 2 people. This is a protected company, a most favored company by the administration. Not just this administration, but the last 4 administrations. You need to know what they're putting in your aerosol, but you don't. What those white streams are that we're all breathing in. If nothing I say to you appeals to you, I'm going to play as much of this as I can, and I want you to pay attention to what happens when this is in the ocean. Because here's what's happening, a synopsis. We're told that this program, and it's been in existence for 31 years, not just overnight, is preventing global warming because these particles that they're putting in the air, these nanoparticles, are reflecting the sun's rays. You're going to hear an Obama administration official saying, well, we got to keep this on the table in case we need to use it. We've been using it for 31 years. You just haven't known about it. It's important you know about it. Because there's no way to avoid the air you breathe now. These particles are so small that they're in your house. There's no filter that you can have. I want to go over the 3 things because you can all download an app that we talked about last time. An app that will go on your phone, and every time you see a chemtrail, which don't call them that anymore, we're going to call them what they call them, and that is, their favorite name is GeoEngineering. They're geologically engineering the planet's atmosphere. But there's a plan behind this, and you need to know what the plan is. Because I've contacted Sheriff Mack. He is the sheriff from Arizona who won a Supreme Court case, a friend of the foundation, who went all the way to the Supreme Court. 6 sheriffs started to oppose provisions in the Brady Bill under the auspices of Janet Reno in the Clinton administration. There were provisions in that bill to confiscate the weapons of the people by the sheriffs on a local level. And if they didn't do it, they would face prison time. Only 6 sheriffs in the United States. How many sheriffs are there? 3,200 counties in America. It went all the way to the Supreme Court. 4 out of the 6 dropped out. Sheriff Prins in Montana and Sheriff Mack in Arizona went all the way to the Supreme Court, and they won. And that same guy up there, Anton Scalia, wrote the majority decision. And this is what he said. He said that the auspices of the sheriff goes from the perimeter of the county to the center of the earth and to the heavens. So in the last 3 years, I've tried to get pilots to go up there. I bought the suits from Granger, the hazmat suits, to capture this material, to send it to a lab so we have actual evidence. There's a doctor in this county, Dr. Winston Gao, who's been collecting this in the rainwater. Next meeting, he'll tell you the levels that he's been collecting in your rainwater, which are approximately 3,000 times what is permitted to have aluminum in your drinking water. You're breathing it in. Strontium, you're breathing it in. It's going in your bones. All of us have been weaponized by this material. No exceptions. From the youngest babies to the oldest person in this county, and it's happening on a global level, but it's not happening in Switzerland. That's the place it doesn't happen, because that's where the Rothschilds live. The reason that you don't know about this is because they purchased the Weather Channel 6 years ago. You're going to see a man named Dane Wigington. Dane was fired as a meteorologist because he created, the radar shows this stuff because it's metal particles. Then he started going to these geoengineering classes all over the planet. He was featured in G. Edward Griffin's 2 documentaries, What in the World Are They Spraying and Why in the World Are They Spraying? If you didn't see them, order them. G. Edward Griffin, I talked to him last week. He's going to support what we're going to do here in Pinellas County. Sheriff Mack is going to come here. Here's what we're going to do here, because we're going to create the first model here. We're going to get 100 people to go to the sheriff. Next week I'm speaking to the Pinellas County Chiropractic Association. So far I have 4 doctors. I want to have at least 20. I don't care what discipline they're in. We're going to go to the sheriff, 100 people, and we're going to present the evidence of massive crime going on in Pinellas County. Sheriff Mack is going to present to Sheriff Galtieri his Supreme Court decision which authorizes Sheriff Galtieri to take a plane up. See, why these people have backed out, these 6 plane owners, is because anytime you put something on the outside of the plane, you alter the outside of the plane, you have to notify the Federal Aviation Association. They cancel your flight. And if you do it anyway, they confiscate your plane. So no one was willing to lose their plane. But see, who can go up there when they have evidence of a crime is Sheriff Galtieri. So we'll find out about this guy. There are 352 sheriffs seeing how we're going to do this here, because those are the people that Sheriff Mack has gone through his constitutional course. There are 3,200 sheriffs. Once we do it here, it will be exported to those 352 other counties. He will come here. I talked to him, he's going to fly here, he's going to present the information. We got to show up. 100 people. That's not hard. It should not be hard. to present the information. So what you're going to see is a man named Dane Wigington. There's one bit of information I want you to get. The ocean floors, the mantle of the floors are cracking. And what's seeping up in increasing numbers all over this planet is methane gas. You remember when they punctured down deep in the Gulf, what one little well, what they went through. But now the evidence is overwhelming. There is over 100 sites worldwide capturing this methane gas. Do you know why the world's ocean floors are breaking apart? They're breaking apart because global warming has become so dense in deserts now. When it gets cold at night, it doesn't get cold anymore. Because this blanket that is around the earth, when the sun goes to the other side, it keeps it in. The oceans are heating up at such a rapid pace. Starfish are dying all over. A California scientist, you may see this on the web, the pelicans, they expected 2,000 brown pelicans to be birthed in California this year. 20 were birthed. This is an ecologic disaster. We already know what's happening. If we don't stop this, what I'm going to show you, and we only have probably half an hour of it, but the most important bit of information is what is happening. Because a cubic square yard of water, when it's heated up 5 degrees, increases the pressure on the ocean floor substantially. And what is happening is the mantle is starting to crack. These people, these sociopaths that run these programs, they're committed to them. This is like Nero fiddling while Rome is burning. So we only have about, I don't know, 30 minutes. Something is the most important that you could ever see in your life. You will never see a more important DVD than you see right here. Because if you don't do something, and we don't do something here, we're all going to be dead very soon on this planet. There will be no life forms. Because the evidence is overwhelming. We can win this, especially with young people. There are hundreds of thousands of young people who hate Monsanto. There are hundreds of thousands of people who have been on the internet and know what these chemtrails are. It's up to us to make this program work. I've contacted Dr. Russell Blaylock. He is presenting all the medical evidence of what these nanoparticles do to the hippocampus of the brain, why it passes the blood-brain barrier. There's no protection against this. That's the last one on here. The middle one is Dane, talking about the scientific evidence. We had 2 snowstorms this year at 52 degrees because of something called ice nucleation. May 1st, ice balls 4 feet wide and 4 feet high rolled off Lake Michigan and damaged thousands of homes. It was on the news for half a day. People found out they could light these things and melt the ice balls because they're full of methane gas cracking on the floor of Lake Michigan. Is this serious? This is really serious. So it's up to you to start the revolution right here. Because Sheriff Mack's not coming until we got 100 committed people to show up to the sheriff. I'll answer your question later.
Okay.
This is really important that you get the big picture here. And the few minutes that we have left does not in any way undermine the seriousness of this. Because if you love your children, you'll do something. Because your children are sucking into this stuff every day. If you love the Constitution, you have a right to privacy in your body that's being violated every day. So we're going to present him with 100 citizens. I know we're going to get a lot more chiropractors. And then in a couple of weeks, we're going to the food patch and are doing an article, a lecture there. And it will be, I took this right off YouTube while it's still there. The Collapse of the Earth, 2014. It's on here. We will get more young people. People who hate Monsanto. Once we produce 100 people, our mandate to him is to go up and capture that. We have 2 environmental labs that have agreed to analyze it cost-free. Even allow us, we have the special lenses to look down in the microscope and see this stuff. It will be on Geo Griffin's book, Freedom International, the next day. There are a lot of groups who will put this out there. This will go viral within a couple of weeks. We will give Sheriff Galtieri 1 month to examine this criminal activity, to capture this material. If he does not, we will picket in front of the sheriff's office. Galtieri approves genocide in Pinellas County. We will make up some very creative signs that will not be ignored by the media. So you want to win something, this is winnable. It's provable. Okay, so let's play as much as we can.
Hey,
and
before you get going, tell these people how they have given implied consent without even knowing it.
Yes, it violates the doctrine of informed consent in medicine. All of us have a right to informed consent if we're taking a drug into our bodies. You get any informed consent when you're drinking fluoride? No. Exactly.
That's what they did to you,
Okay, ready?
all of us. They kill you with your permission.
My name is Dave Rigdon from GeoEngineeringWatch.org, and our purpose of our site is to expose the issue of global climate engineering, otherwise termed as geoengineering. We are virtually under assault right now. It's not alarmism, it's not exaggeration. This type of weather modification puts out chemicals and toxins, some known, some not known. Many people who try to debate this issue, if they ask you why they should believe this is going on, we have film of it happening, end of the argument. That's it. There's no debate, no discussion, this is not speculation. When we have films and we can clearly see our spraying, there's no denying that jet is spraying, period. We have interior films, interior footage, which I'll show in a moment. But the bottom line is, that's not a condensation trail. Any notion that it is simply denial or complete ignorance. So this is, you can even see on this jet, that each side of the plane, the plumes are different lengths, which means the nozzles are not aligned perfectly. You see different composition in the trail, also indicative of different materials being expelled from different portions of the aircraft. So again, this amounts to weather warfare, period. The U.S. has historically engaged in weather warfare around the globe. This is historical fact. We have data going back to Vietnam, 1968, Project Popeye. 1976, UN passed resolutions forbidding weather modification in wartime. So again, this is not speculation. We live in a society that's been trained to shut down when they hear the word conspiracy theory. They've been conditioned pretty well. But the bottom line is, this is the issue that can't be ignored any longer. People can ignore Kennedy, people can ignore false flag events like Vietnam and even whatever happened on 9/11, but this issue can't be ignored. In North State, for example, we turn on our water faucets and nothing comes out. That's the end of the road. This is very recent. This is from 2 days ago. Al Gore, use of geoengineering to head up climate change disaster is insane. So although we don't have an admission that's going on, it's getting closer by the day. It looks like Al Gore is trying to now distance himself from these programs that he has not admitted to yet. This is important media. We'll be seeing more of this in the coming weeks. One interior shot there. Again, we can't know from the variants of different planes, the different configurations of spray apparatus. This is an ongoing experiment. There's likely many different configurations. We see aircraft trails that have different color compositions. So this is an ongoing experiment of which we're all a part, like it or not. Another interior, high pressure tanks. When this image was posted, the sites that initially posted it, a couple of them were taken down. This image appeared to be trying to be taken off the net as quickly as possible, but too many people downloaded it. It's out there now. More configurations. Obviously, there's a whole lot of planes with a whole lot of tanks doing a whole lot of something. So this kind of footage should not be ignored. Clearly, these are appear to be passenger planes, most of them with windows. So there appear to be many different types of aircrafts involved in the spraying activities. This is what we have. Again, global geoengineering, the ever-changing experiment, and we are, again, part of that experiment. Russian scholar warns of secret U.S. climate change weapon. We have Russia engaging this as well. We also have China. And this is one of the reasons why it's so hard to get any sort of mainstream coverage, because the big players are all involved up to their eyeballs. So that's one of the reasons the media coverage is so sparse, but it's coming. What do the weapons do? They wreak havoc in countries without anybody knowing they're even under assault. In the case of floods, droughts, all of this is a form of weather weaponry and weather warfare. And there's no argument that we are all a part of weather warfare when our climate is being impacted the way it is right now. Again, countries around the globe, this sort of impact, nobody would recognize as being an assault. And that's what's so prized about weather warfare for the powers that be. Nobody even knows they're being attacked. Bridges, infrastructure, wiped out. You can literally bring a country to its knees. You can bring a state to its knees as well, especially a state that doesn't seem to want to conform too much with the federal government. You can drop them out completely. And that's exactly what's happening in California right now. This sort of drought in Africa has been used for decades. We know these programs have been going on, and their impact in Africa appears to be directly related to bringing countries to their knees and opening up the door for U.S. occupation. You have U.S. boots on the ground in about 156 countries around the globe. Not singling out the U.S. because other countries, again, as I said, are at this as well. Empty reservoirs. This is where California is headed today. I think we all know that. If we reach the end of this year without significant rainfall, we will be in free fall into a cataclysm that's never before been recorded. Our forests are going up in flames. As geoengineering impacts the system from top to bottom, it starts to feed itself. As you cut off the moisture from boreal forests, which are the lungs of the planet, the terrestrial lungs of the planet, and they begin to burn, that feeds into the entire climate cycle and begins to tilt it even further off scale. So this is a non-linear equation. Once it starts to tilt, it tilts faster and faster. These sorts of clouds historically have not been well recorded. Now they are.